this evening. Our God is faithful. You may be seated. This time I'm going to call on Sister Dorin Collins. Did I get it right? Okay, Sister Dorin. I met her virtually via Zoom on a story that when she shared the story of her life. And so it's a pleasure having you with us. Your brother, as you know, volunteers for Plus Radio, and we're glad to have him and his family with us this evening. And so David and his wife are here with us, and there are other visitors. Let's give all our visitors a round of applause. But Dorin's testimony is very powerful, and I think it will be a great reminder to you this evening of the faithfulness of our God.
Amen. Giving honor to God, first of all. Can I hold this mic? Is it okay? Yes, so I just want to give honor to God because He's the reason I breathe and I live and I have my being. And also for Mrs. Wade and Mr. Wade who, opened. It's such an honor for me to be here. And for all of you guys who are here because you could have been somewhere else. So actually I was born in Belize, Central America, but actually I moved when I was 17 years old to Los Angeles, California. So my husband wanted to be here, but unfortunately we have a church in Los Angeles and he had to be there to take care of the church. So yes, we met on Zoom. I'm not going to take too long because it's a long story. So I always wanted to be a nurse. Always wanted to be a nurse from a little girl. At the age of 6, I was molested by my grandfather. And I cried out to God all my life throughout the torture that I went through from family members being burnt on both my legs. I tattooed my legs when I was in my 20s because I didn't want to see those scars anymore. At the age of 12, I was raped by a family member. I got pregnant by that rape. And my dad, he actually had his friend who was a dentist right here in Belize, did the abortion. It's horrible. No medication, nothing. It was gruesome. I never knew that Belize had a basement until the day I got that abortion at the age of 12. And it was no medication, not even a Tylenol, and my mom was with me. And I cried out to God all my life. I've been crying out to Him. I knew there's a God that exists, but I never could trust Him enough to have a relationship with Him. And growing up and going through all this stuff, I questioned God about churches. Like, everybody say they're the one, the Catholic, the Baptist, the Adventist church. And so I just had a lot of questions, although my dad was a pastor. I don't know if you guys know David Dawson in Ladyville, but he was the pastor and he taught us. He planted those seeds in me from a little child. I could remember him just talking about the love of God. But because of the scars that I had as a child, I decided not to have a relationship with Him. So now I'm in LA. I have 3 beautiful children, married 4 years and divorced 20 years. But during those 20 years, I was just doing whatever I wanted to do. I was not the best parent because I was partying whenever I had the time to party. I was just doing a lot. But now it became a time in my life when my dreams are finally coming to fulfillment. Now I'm 3 months away from being a nurse, and I'm so excited. Me and my sister wasn't getting along at that time. So every week I would go visit her. And so my 2 friends was in the car. We was going to go party. Here we go again. And I decided to go visit my sister. She lived in the back house, and the front house was always vacant. The gate was always open. And as I walked in the gate, my friends in the car, I saw a German Shepherd dog sitting down right before I get to my sister's door. And we looked at each other, like right in the face. He was just sitting very calm. I decided to walk back outside, call my sister, because they said if you run, you might get attacked by the dog, right? So I decided to walk. And so as I start walking, I heard this big growling, and this dog knocked me to the ground. And I'm there on the ground fighting, and I remember in nursing school they said to hold your jugular veins because if you get them cut or slit, you could bleed to death. So we had just gotten CPR like a week before, not knowing that I would need CPR. But I'm on the ground fighting for my life, and this dog ripped my lip up. My nose was torn. I got operation on my face and other parts of my body. But it was a gruesome. I thought that was the night when this is it. I'm just gonna, this is my time. I'm not gonna live. But my kids flashed before my eyes. All the happy things in my life flashed before my eyes. And one of the things that stuck with me, although I run from God and I didn't even want to talk to my dad about when he started talking about God, I always made an excuse. Oh, I got to go, or, I'm going to talk to you later. But I remembered he always said, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And that keep on going in my head. And I asked God, I said, Lord, if you give me one more chance, I promise that I would serve you. I want you to use me. Because you never know what that person on that dying bed is thinking. You might see them out there, drinking one day or partying or whatever, but that last second, that's why it's not good to judge. But I was there fighting. I get up. I had to jump a fence. I couldn't reach the gate in time, and the dog grabbed my nursing shoes. I was still in my uniform. I hit my head on the pavement. That's all I remembered. I tried to climb in the back of a white pickup truck, and my friends saw me. They said, and I fell. They ran over to me. They had to do CPR. They called 911. They did CPR because I was bleeding from the wounds. And now they came. Right now I'm unconscious. I didn't know nothing. So now I'm in the hospital. The ambulance came, took me to the hospital. It was a chaos. Because the reason I know it was a chaos, because I had an outer body experience. I was floating in the ceiling in the hospital, looking at myself being operated on. The light was around me and the doctor. I was lying down. Everybody's working with gauze and trying to, stop the bleeding and all these stuff that was taking place. And all of a sudden, the doctor, a female doctor in particular, I remembered, she shouted, we need to stop and we need to get the ventilator. We need to do compressions on her because she's going flatlined. So I'm looking at all this, but the person in the ceiling is not feeling nothing. And looking at the person in the chair, look like they're going through the worst pain of their life. And as they say, I was going flatline, and I was taken into a beautiful lighted channel, all different lights. And I went through this channel, and the farther that I went, the less memories I had on this earth. And while in the ceiling there, I'm looking at everybody. I'm like just seeing everybody like just running everywhere, grabbing things, putting tubes in me and all this stuff. But the farther I went in the channel was the less memories I had on this earth. Now I ended up in this beautiful world, and I was a huge giant overlooking the whole world, but it's a different world. There's no buildings. There's people all over the world in gowns, and everything was beautiful. No night never came. I was there for 3 months, and I didn't know that this earth exists. I mean, no night never came. We could feel the presence of God. It's not like we could say, there goes God, but you could feel that strong energy. And there's people bowing down on mats. There's people worshiping God in different ways. Before the coma, I had questioned God about churches and all these stuff. And so I'll get to that part because it's a long story. I'm trying to hurry, get through this. So I'm there for 3 months, and all of a sudden I feel terrible pain. All of a sudden something is coming from my throat. And I heard this voice saying, your eyes been closed for so long, so you won't be able to see right away. And I did not understand what was going on. It just felt like a nightmare. Like, how can I be in this beautiful paradise place with waterfalls and greenery and all these stuff? And where am I at now? But I want to rewind, because when I first got there was people welcoming me. They're calling me, they're waving. And I said, let me go see what they want. And as I start walking towards them, I started shrinking to the level that I'm at right now. And these faces seem so familiar. I said, I know these people, but I'm trying to think of their names, but I couldn't put a name to their faces. But going back to when I came out the coma, the doctors tell me I can't see him, and I'm trying to tell him, but I couldn't walk. I lost all my memory. I couldn't talk. There's so much. I couldn't even move because of my muscles that's been on that bed for 3 months. And so as I lie there, I'm trying to, talk to the doctor and tell him, I can't see you, but I could see someone have their hand on my leg. So I'm trying to talk, but my mouth was closed with the wire and all that stuff, and I'm mumbling. And when they finally found out what I was saying, the doctor was like, no, ma'am, you can't see. It's only me and the nurse in here. There's no one else. And I'm trying to tell him, and I got so frustrated. I said, there's someone have their hands on my leg, and he have on a white robe. I couldn't see a face. But when I was able to see the doctors, I couldn't see that person, but I know that God brought me back for a purpose and a reason. But I didn't know anything. The doctor was like, do you know your name? Do you know what year it is? I had amnesia for 2 years. They diagnosed me for 2 years. I had amnesia. They brought my kids in. I didn't know I had a family. It was so hard that I had to chase them out the room because I'm telling the doctors, I don't live here. I live in this beautiful place, and I'm describing this place to them. And they're telling me, ma'am, these are your kids, this is your family. And I'm like, no, I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to go back to this place. And I was in denial for so long, but it's just so much that God has shown me in the coma. He had to take away my memory to reroute me in order for me to discover who I was, because I thought that I was just on this earth for men to just abuse and use. And that's the way I was treating myself. And the confusion with just thinking about people in the church and what this one think and what that one would think and this church and that church. God said that was none of your business. You was looking at the wrong thing. What I want each one of us to do, he said, is to have a relationship with me. That's all he's asking, because he created all of us. Who are we to judge? So the enemy really wants us to take our attention off worshiping and praising God and having a relationship with him. And he wants us to be able to just look at the things out there that would distract us from that relationship. So my kids, it's just a lot of stuff. My kids, when I was learning to walk, was when I really got closer to God. I actually asked my daughter and my kids, what would your mom want you to do? Stay home and take care of me? Because I couldn't walk. They had to give me bed baths and feed me and all these stuff. And I finally got my daughter to go to school, and I fell down in the bathroom, urinated on myself, and I was crying out to God on that floor. I said, Lord, why would you bring me back to such a painful world? And I asked for forgiveness for that person because I didn't remember who she was. So I said, Lord, just forgive that person for who she was. But I want you to use me because I don't even have control over my life. We don't belong to ourselves. Nobody. We are just stewards over the things that God gave to us on this earth. And so I had to learn through my relationship with God that through those times I was crying out to him, he was actually taking me through those situations. And so whatever you're going through today, know that he's taking us through it. Just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they never stood in the furnace. Jesus was right there with them. And so just like that, you got to realize that he will never leave us nor forsake us. Amen. So it's just a lot. But my book, I have my book. It's going to be in Belize, in Belize. And, I'm just going to try to just spread the word and just to give people hope, because we all have a story. Every single person in here have a story. It might be different, but don't be intimidated by someone else's story, because it's going to give somebody else's hope. You don't know what the person's going through. Even if it's give them a smile. Because sometimes we're too serious, right? So just give them a smile or a word, of encouragement, and just be blessed by other people's testimony. And just know that God is going to use you if you allow yourself to be used by him, that he could change your life around as well. But don't wait for something tragic to happen before that happens. And I just want to thank God because he gave me a second chance. And I told him, you use me however you want. And ever since I've been building my relationship and he's been molding me, it's such a great excitement. It's a peace that I can't even explain, that only comes from God. It don't come from the man, the material, nothing on this earth. But I look forward to going back to that place. I'm not scared of that anymore. My husband is like, don't get too excited to go back because I need you down here a little bit longer. But God is just using me. 4 years I've searched for the church that I used to go to, me and my kids. They were younger, so they didn't know where the church was. So I searched. Every week I would go to a different church. I would go to Catholic, Adventist, Muslim, everywhere. But 4 years, and I found a church. It was my husband at that time. He was married. 6 months into being there, his wife passed away. She had diabetes, heart problem. She was supposed to not live past the age of 12. Her kidneys failed and all these stuff. But God placed us in different situations in our lives at the time that he did. Just like he placed you guys here today. And just know that you are special. He took a part of him and he placed it in each one of us. And he created us in his image and likeness. So don't look at other people and, just be grateful for the life that he gave you, because he's using you, again, if you're willing to be used. He want to carry out a special mission on this earth. So just allow him to use us and just be able to grow. And I thank you guys for your testimonies. Like, I really learned from you guys, and I'm grateful that you guys got the courage to really come up here and share your story and continue to grow in God, because he's the only way, the truth, and the life. Amen? Amen. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Mr. Wade and Mrs. Wade.
Thank you. And it's good to see you, good to meet you, and God bless you.